Hi everyone, I'm Helen, a 31-year-old from Jacksonville, Florida. I'm contemplating a change of scenery soon. My journey has been a bit of a roller coaster, particularly enduring a challenging marriage for over a year. Thankfully, with my dad and some help from law enforcement, I managed to navigate my way out. Looking back, I recognize my role in those choices and sometimes wish I had been more discerning. I've always been quite reserved and not much of a social butterfly, preferring the company of my computer and the vast digital universe over real-life interactions. On the rare occasions I did step out, like going to a bar, I'd keep to myself, especially when strangers attempted to befriend me. The thought of being kidnapped by someone I barely knew was enough to keep me at a distance. My mother passed away when I was just 5 due to a heart condition that went untreated, leaving me in the sole care of my father, a dedicated Marine. His job took him away on long voyages, leaving me to miss him dearly. Despite the distance, he did his best to stay connected with us through letters and calls. The day we lost my mom, he rushed back to comfort me, finding me inconsolable at her funeral. He lifted me into his arms, offering comfort and promising that everything would be okay now that he was back. Clinging to him, I cried myself to sleep that night, lulled by the sound of his voice humming my favorite lullaby. His strength and love have been my guiding light through the darkest times, teaching me resilience and hope. I remember seeing him once, sitting quietly by himself on the sofa with a drink in his hand. He looked so forlorn and pale, occasionally whispering to himself before he buried his face into a cushion and wept. It was only the second time I'd ever seen him cry, the first being when I had a little accident on a slide and ended up getting hurt. Perhaps he felt guilty about everything that had unfolded in our lives. He decided to take a couple of months off work, and before he left again, he made arrangements for me to stay with my grandmother, who would look after me in his absence. "Yes, Dad, I will," I assured him, my heart heavy with his impending departure. He expressed his eagerness to taste the dishes I would learn to make by the time he came back. Then, with a final hug and a promise to take care of myself, he was gone. His work meant he would be away for 5 months or more, during which he'd send me gifts and souvenirs from his travels. While he was gone, I helped Grandma with the household chores and kept to myself, preferring the solitude of our home over the company of other kids. As I grew older, this preference for solitude deepened, and I found solace in the virtual world, where I could interact with others without the anxiety that real-world interactions brought. The internet became my window to the world, a place where I could explore endless stories and connect with people on a level I found both exhilarating and comforting. I didn't need to face anyone directly. I could share my thoughts, feelings, and interests anonymously, finding friends who understood and accepted me. Through these digital connections, I encountered diverse cultures and perspectives, realizing how much we all have in common despite our apparent differences. The internet bridged the gap between continents, making the world a smaller, more interconnected place. During this virtual exploration, I met Joseph, a streamer. Our friendship began with chats and progressed to video calls. Though we both kept our identities somewhat concealed, I wore a Batman mask, and he used a scarf and a beanie to obscure his face. "Hi, Helen. It's great to finally see you," he greeted me during 2 of our calls. "Hello, Jose. Nice to meet you, even if it's just virtually," I replied, my voice tinged with nervous excitement. He assured me it was normal to feel nervous, but promised it would get easier with time. Our conversations were a mixture of everyday banter and deeper discussions, a testament to the strange yet wonderful friendships formed in the age of the internet. "Don't worry, I don't bite. I guess we're both a bit awkward, huh? It's our first real conversation, after all," I started, breaking the ice as we delved into our first significant chat. "So, Jose, I'm curious. What brought you to this online world?" Jose shared his enthusiasm for meeting new people and discovering diverse viewpoints. "I'm a bit of a homebody, and this digital community felt like the right place to connect with others from the comfort of my own space." "How about you?" I admitted to my introverted nature, explaining how traditional social settings felt daunting, and how online platforms offered a layer of comfort that made it easier for me to express myself. I find these virtual connections incredibly rewarding. It's serendipitous that we met here, I added. Our conversation flowed effortlessly, filled with exchanges of interests and personal anecdotes. I found myself relaxing more with each topic we covered. I never imagined I'd be this at ease talking to someone over the internet. Thanks for making it so seamless, Josie. This means a lot to me. The feeling's mutual, Helen. You're an excellent conversationalist, and I'm glad we connected. If you ever feel like chatting again, just hit me up. I'm usually around playing games. Oh, do you game? Jose asked, his curiosity piquing. I'd like that, I replied. But no, I'm more into blogging and browsing Reddit. It's fascinating what you can discover there. I often find myself learning more from the experiences shared by others than anything else. Exactly. Sometimes our own lives can feel so mundane. There's something special about diving into the lives of others online. I find myself trusting my internet friends more than my real-life ones, Jose confessed. He appreciated the no-strings-attached nature of online friendships, where you're free to engage as much or as little as you prefer. As our conversation unfolded, Jose and I formed a genuine bond, a friendship that felt real despite the digital barrier. Our open-mindedness and mutual understanding highlighted the unique connection you can find in the least expected places. This digital journey of mine has undoubtedly shaped my identity and the way I approach the world. The lessons and experiences from my online haven have become an integral part of who I am. However, my dad, ever cautious, would likely disapprove of these unseen friendships. The last time he visited, he took the opportunity to lecture me on the importance of real-world connections over dinner. "How are your studies going, Dove?" he had asked, unaware of my recent graduation, a milestone he missed. Our conversation hinted at the gaps in our real-life interactions, underscoring the complexities of my digital and physical worlds colliding. I was swamped with responsibilities and felt bad about it then, just as I do now. I even sent you an email to let you know I'd make it for your birthday tomorrow. Tomorrow's my pumpkin's birthday. Please don't use nicknames. I'm not 5 anymore, I had to remind him, though he still sees me as his little dove. That's just it, Dad. I don't know how to, but I'll try. I do have friends, but they're online, I admitted. Why bring Mom into this? What are you implying? I snapped, hurt by the direction of our conversation. I'm not implying anything, dear. I'm just saying it's important to find ways to move forward, as much as we both miss her, he gently explained. But I couldn't contain my frustration. I slammed the table, got up without finishing my meal, and stormed off to wash my plate, leaving my dad trying to reach out. Helen, don't take that tone with your father. I'm just trying to help, he said, his voice a mix of concern and disappointment. You don't understand me, so don't try, I retorted, anger boiling over. I retreated to my online world to find Josie, someone who seemed to understand. Jose was kind and a good listener, someone I could vent to about the growing frustration within me. Being an introvert, I've always found solace and comfort at home, in front of my computer screen. While others embraced the world outside, I cherished the safety of my digital haven, a place where I could be myself without the anxiety of real interactions. My father, however, couldn't grasp this. He believed my preference for online life was limiting my personal growth and insisted I experience the world beyond my comfort zone, a thought that filled me with dread. I shared my worries with Joseph, hoping he'd grasp the situation I was in. Hey, Helen, would you like to meet in person? We're both introverts, so we could pick a quiet place with few people around. I know just the spot, he suggested gently, understanding my need for a comfortable setting. No worries, take all the time you need. I'm here whenever you're ready. Here's my address. You're always welcome, Joseph offered, extending an invitation with patience and kindness. Why are you so nice to me? I'm practically a stranger. I couldn't help but wonder aloud. Because I genuinely like you. It might sound odd coming from me, but I'd love to get to know you better. Whenever you feel the same, you know where to find me, he responded with sincerity, making my heart flutter with a mixture of surprise and curiosity. The thought of stepping out into the real world to meet Joseph was daunting. Yet, filled with a blend of excitement and anxiety, I found myself outside his home, ready to face the unknown. He lived surprisingly close, just a 35-minute drive away. I gathered my courage, took a deep breath, and knocked on the weathered door. It creaked open, and there was Joseph with a welcoming smile that immediately calmed my nerves. He was charming, and his home, though modest, radiated a warmth and genuine character. The cozy interior, adorned with beloved books, board games, and his personal workspace, spoke volumes about his personality. "Welcome to my humble abode," Joseph greeted, his voice filled with an eagerness that made me smile. "Your gracious presence brightens my day." I chuckled at his gaming lingo. "Thank you. It's quite a cozy place." "Do you live here alone?" "No, my princess. I share the house with my mom. She stays downstairs, while I have the top floor to myself." "Let me give you a tour," he offered, leading me through his space. As the day unfolded, we engaged in deep conversations, shared laughter, and discovered even more about one another. Meeting Joseph in person added a new dimension to our relationship, deepening the bond we had formed online. His kindness and authenticity were even more palpable face to face, enriching our connection and making me appreciate the person behind the digital persona even more. Josie's unique humor and genuine nature drew me closer to him as we spent more time together. One evening, as the sunset painted the sky with shades of orange and purple, he suggested a walk in the nearby park. I found myself eagerly agreeing, my earlier nerves melting away into comfort and ease. Walking with him felt like a natural continuation of our online conversations, now enriched with the immediacy and depth that only face-to-face interactions can provide. During our walk, I confided in him about not celebrating my birthday, explaining how a recent argument with my dad left me feeling too unsettled to face any celebration. "I'm really sorry to hear that, but I believe he'll understand in time. He's your dad, after all," Jose tried to comfort me. However, as Jose and I grew closer, I began to see another side of him. Despite his sweet words at first, he became possessive and jealous once we started dating. He demanded constant communication, reacting with anger if I spoke to others. His claims of love and protection seemed sincere at first, but I soon questioned why I had so readily believed him. To my dismay, I learned his mother disapproved of our relationship. Knowing she harbored negative feelings towards me, someone she hadn't met, was disheartening. I struggled to understand her stance, given the genuine care and love Jose and I shared. His close bond with his mother was clear, and while I respected their relationship, it introduced a wedge between us. Despite Jose's assurances, I felt like an outsider, caught in the shadow of his mother's disapproval. The most confusing aspect was her contradicting attitude towards our future. She seemed to push for our marriage, perhaps seeing me as someone who could cater to her needs, given my lack of family support. This perspective was a stark contrast to the understanding I sought from a potential mother-in-law. Not every parent is perfect. Look at your dad, for instance. "At least my mom cares about me," Jose would say, failing to see how his words stung. His remarks about my father not loving me were especially painful. "Please, Josie, it hurts when you talk like that." "You know how complex my relationship with my dad is?" I pleaded, seeking empathy. In this tangled web of emotions and relationships, I found myself questioning the very foundations of our connection. The love and understanding I initially felt from Jose now seemed overshadowed by possessiveness, jealousy, and familial complications. I tried to adapt, to stop lamenting my situation, and aim to make the best of things. Despite the foreboding sense of unease, I ended up in a clandestine marriage with Joseph. He convinced me that my father would never accept our union, persuading me that my dad's absence was a sign of his lack of love. So, without inviting my dad or anyone else from my side, I married Joseph, stepping into a situation I sensed was fraught with risk. I criticized myself for my lack of strength, attributing my vulnerabilities to the environment I grew up in rather than acknowledging the manipulation I was under. The marriage soon revealed a harsher side of Joseph's mother than I had ever imagined. She embodied cruelty, taking delight in undermining my confidence and joy. Her tactics were insidious at first, snide remarks and demeaning comments that gradually eroded my self-esteem. I held on to the hope that her animosity would diminish over time, but it only escalated into relentless emotional abuse. Her criticisms were relentless. "This meal is a disgrace. You expect my son to eat this? Start over," she would sneer. Or, "This place is filthy. Are you incapable of cleaning properly? And get up and take out the trash. Were you raised with no manners at all?" Each word from her was like a blow, designed to belittle me and shake my sense of self-worth. She questioned my decisions, dismissed my accomplishments, and manipulated situations to make me feel unworthy of Joseph's love. Meanwhile, Joseph remained oblivious or indifferent, absorbed in his own world, leaving me to fend for myself in this toxic environment. I felt trapped in a never-ending nightmare, my spirit and resilience wearing thin under the constant barrage of cruelty. The regret of pushing my father away haunted me. His departure after a heated argument right before this entire ordeal left me feeling isolated and full of remorse. I berated myself for my perceived weaknesses, for allowing myself to be drawn into this situation. One day, feeling under the weather and overwhelmed by everything, I sought solace in a nap on the sofa, hoping to find some reprieve in sleep. But any chance of rest was abruptly shattered when a cold splash of water jolted me awake, a harsh reminder of the relentless hostility that had become my daily reality. Waking up in a state of shock and fear, I found myself facing Anne, my mother-in-law, who looked at me with utter disdain. "Why are you loafing on the sofa? Did you even bother to do the shopping I asked you to?" Her voice dripped with contempt. I remained silent, unable to respond to her accusations. "So, you expect me, an old woman, to handle everything while you do nothing?" she sneered before striking me across the face and calling for Joseph. I reached my breaking point. I refused to do anything more for you or your son. "I'm done being treated like this. Find someone else to torment," I declared, my patience exhausted. I'd received nothing but disrespect from this family, and I couldn't stand it any longer. As I attempted to leave, a blunt object struck me from behind and darkness engulfed me. When consciousness returned, I found myself in a dimly lit, semi-dark room, pain throbbing through my head. Struggling to stand, I stumbled, overwhelmed by pain and confusion about my whereabouts. Faint, distorted sounds grew clearer as they neared. Desperately, I crawled toward a metal door with a small window, using it to pull myself up. The door suddenly swung open, revealing Joseph with a mocking smile. "Scared of the dark, are we?" he taunted. I pleaded with him to let me out, promising to change, to no longer voice any complaints. But his response was cold and merciless. "This is your punishment for disrespecting my mother. You'll stay here, cut off from the world. After all, who's going to miss you? Your mother's gone, and your father doesn't care about you. You had a chance to start anew here, but you've squandered it," he sneered. There, in the cold, dark basement, a mixture of fear and rage coursed through me. How had my life spiraled into this nightmare? All I had done was stand up against unjust demands, and now I was trapped, punished for seeking respect and dignity. In the depths of my despair, feeling the consequences of asserting myself, I discovered my phone in my pocket. It was damaged, its screen barely alive, yet a glimmer of hope sparked within me. Amidst the darkness, the faint light of the screen blinked back at me. With my father's number etched in my memory, I dialed it, my hands shaking and tears blurring my vision. I recounted my ordeal through a trembling voice, clinging to the slim chance that he could rescue me from this terror. 3 days later, as despair nearly claimed me, the sound of a car outside signaled a sliver of hope. My heart raced as I listened for the footsteps approaching. The door finally opened to reveal my father, a pillar of strength and resolve. The sight of him flooded me with a mix of relief and disbelief. He had come to my rescue, bringing police officers with him. Jose and Anne were quickly apprehended, their feeble attempts to deny their actions falling flat. "You have no idea what's waiting for you in court," my dad declared with rightful anger. Despite their protests and excuses, their fate was sealed. As my dad led me out of that dark, confining space, I felt a surge of courage and resolve. The harrowing experience, though far from easy, had revealed an inner strength I didn't know I possessed. With my father's steadfast support, I emerged ready to face any challenge that lay ahead. I resolved then to always stand up for myself, to never again let anyone silence my voice. The hope for justice burned within me, a wish to see Jose and his mother face the consequences of their actions. I decided to start anew, leaving Jacksonville for Augusta, Georgia with my dad, seeking safety and a fresh start away from the memories that haunted me. This ordeal also taught me a valuable lesson about the dangers of trusting strangers online. A lesson I'll carry with me always.